All right, King G Gennady, what's going on? It's good to get you on. I know people have probably heard your name recently, especially on the
Uh,
Arrow Hawani show. Daniel Cormier was telling a story about Khabib, and he mentioned you, and everybody's like, "Who is King G? Tell us, who is King G?"
all right, King, I'll tell you a little story about myself. I live in Moscow my whole life. I was born here and raised. I started wrestling. My dad brought me to wrestling when I was like 6, and so since that I was just training wrestling and pretty much growing into like a mature person that I was. And then I started learning English by having a goal to go to US and wrestle there. But until that period, I was like 15, I think. I didn't know anyone that who I know right now. And then, U.S. national team, where was King Mo, Daniel, and other people were coming to Russia for tournaments. And so I was speaking a little bit English. And whenever they were coming and they were visiting my gym, and we started hanging out with them because I was speaking English, pretty rare at my gym. So we just became buddies. And through years, we become closer and closer friends. And that's how it started pretty much. And that's how I met the whole USA national team. I was like their ambassador in Russia. So whenever, like, there's many tournaments in Russia. So whenever they were coming, I was there, I was just accepting here, take him to tours, take him to the hotel, to like train areas and everything. And I was like ambassador for them. And one of them was a Sean Bunch too. The Bunch are great, training at the American Kickboxing Academy with Daniel right now, very close friend of mine. And that's how it started. And then after Olympics, 2008 for Mo, he turned into MMA, and we already were close because I know Mo like for 15 years. He's like my older brother to me. We talk to him like every day. Ask him advice for life. For training, how to like help people and stuff because he has enough experience. Same with Daniel. And man, then Daniel turned into MMA because Mo told him, "Hey, Daniel, like, after Olympics, when Daniel, didn't make weight because of the, some problems with the, body, then he turned to MMA and started like growing into it, so, and pretty much that's how it started. I met Mo through and Daniel through like wrestling career in my wrestling career early years. Then I went to United States to wrestling myself. So I was training with the USA national team in 2011, I think it was, in a world team camp in Colorado Springs, and with Jordan Burroughs, where I met him, like Brendan Slade, that was my coach in the U.S. who actually invited me there to train in Colorado Springs because I was helping a Team USA here, and we became very close. He was like an older brother or like a father to me, like close people. And he invited me to US, so that's why I went there. And then met like today like Kamaru Usman, the very close friend of mine, the USA UFC champ, like Daniel Tyron Woodley, and many more because they were wrestling before, so I know them all because through 3 years in wrestling, we're just like a shared mats in a wrestling room, and now they're known as superstars.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy story, but not many people know that I'm like I am who I am. I know who I know, but now we're sharing stories so people will know more about that because there's untold stories like there. And then when Habib, actually the story was Daniel, because Habib, when he was just signing to UFC, not many people knew him from US, right? But I knew who Habib is. I know who his people, his close friends, because I was trained with him in wrestling. And we were talking to Mo, like, "Hey Mo," I was like, "Hey Mo, did you see that Habib got signed to UFC?" He was like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, I heard about that. I heard about that guy." And I was like, "Keep your eyes on him. Keep your eyes on him from the first, second fight when he was just pretty much dominating his fights." And that's the story. I told Mo, "Hey, this guy is a beast. You gotta find a place for him, man." Like I tell him, Mo, bring him to AKA, because that's the best place. Back then there was Luke Rockhold, Daniel Cormier, Ken Velasquez, King Mo, like pretty much champs. Mo was Strikeforce champ back then, so four champs in the same gym. I was like, bring Khabib there, and then somehow they got in contact because Habib was a like Daniel said like a fan of King Mo because everybody knew Mo from Russia because he was
Mhm.
just like crown and all these entrances. And Mo got in contact and like Daniel saying, Khabib like come to AKA, started bringing him into it. And then he finally came in, but he wasn't speaking English like Daniel saying, and it's kind of great to see how he developed his English like a level right now, so he can communicate with the people, giving interviews, which is a hard problem for Russian people fighters coming into UFC. I think, when they just getting signed, but their English is not good, right? So you people cannot talk to like you, just me talking like Habib giving interviews to different people. It's kind of a little bit problem, but he did a great job learning English right now.
Yeah, he's his English is phenomenal, and especially he has that like little Russian style of English, which makes it even
Right.
better. It's almost like a villain, like in a James Bond movie, right?
Right. Because he's just, it makes him a little bit special
Hmm.
because his personality, where he was from, and now the people like he speaks a little bit different. He speaks multiple Englishes, as I heard. I mean, languages like a Turkish, Arabic, like Dagestan, like Russian, English. He's like speaking five languages, I think.
Habib was training in New Jersey first, right? So did you take him to New Jersey?
Nah, he went to New Jersey, I think, from when he got signed to UFC. He I think it was his first manager. Forgot his name, the Russian, like living in the U.S. right now. I think he was his first manager. That's where Habib people contacted him, and I think he helped Khabib to get to UFC. But then, since I talked to Mo, because Mo had a lot of like not a knowledge, like know a lot of people in the UFC, in Bellator, Strikeforce, in the whole world of MMA. He can talk to people. Miller's a friendly person, like I tell you, man. He's a great people. First of all, instead of great fighter, he's a great person. Ask anybody at every gym in the U.S. if he's not friend with Mo. When people come into Russia and Mo tell him, hey, there's a guy, King G. He can help you in Russia if you need help. So I help people. I help fighters because of the friend of Mo. And I tell you what, there's many of them.
So the process of Habib going to AKA is you, Mo, and then basically when he got there, it's DC because DC became the guy that kind of took him under his wing, right?
Right. Because me and Mo, we're, like I said, we're close. And I told Mo, hey, if you got any chance to get Habib there, contact him. Because I know Habib people. And we were here in Russia. I was wrestling with them, and I told them like, hey, if Habib gets somewhere, they gotta find a good place for him. Like Jersey is a great place, but there's even greater places to train with a bunch of other people. But yeah, this how it was. I told all them, like, if he needs a good people, there's a Mo. He can contact Mo if you need any help, and that's how it was. All this like little connections that make it to work. But Mo actually, yeah, we were like Daniel said, we were this like a tool to make it all work, like untold stories, like a little bit like things make it all work. Because
Definitely. Now,
Mo is a fan. Mo is a fan of sport of like no matter where you're from, Brazil, Korea, Russia, like whatever, Africa. He likes like MMA. So if you're a great MMA fighter or just a athlete, he will help you if you need any help. And Mo, he used to come to Russia. That's how we met actually, and he went to Dagestan himself, so he knows how tough those people are, how they train and what they do. And he like, hey, yeah, I know him, G. He's like, he's a great fighter. He will grow into the athlete that will champion. I know something special in him. And we were talking about that every day. And then they contacted Mo. Them side contacted Mo, and that's how it was. But Daniel definitely made a lot of influence into B because I was in Russia. I mean, I was in the U.S. myself. But when I went there, I spoke English already, and I knew people that I was going to. I knew like coaches that would invite me, so I was feeling okay there because when somebody invites you, it's better than you just going yourself, right? And when Habib went there, pretty Mo knew Daniel and Sean Bunch because they're all close. They were helping him, and they knew that he's from Russia, and they've been to Russia, so it's kind of make him bring him a little closer, instead of just like you coming from nowhere. But that's how great people are, They're great people, man. Daniel Bunch, King Mo, they're great people. That's why they brought him in and helped them to get into their environment.
When was the first time you met Habib?
Um, It was like I think back then somewhere in cannot remember the exact town because I met too many people to I've been to many tournaments and met too many people, but I'm not sure when was the first time. But last year at the UFC when Islam fought some Armenian in St. Petersburg in Russia.
Mhm.
So Javier Mendez, Habib coach from AKA, he was coming to Russia in a corner Islam. And so when I rocked the hotel, um, there was a situation when Habib father and Javier were just talking to each other, trying to using translator. They were using like a phone. I was like, man, what it is? Like nobody helping them. So I just went in. I knew Javier, and we just started talking. So I was just using like my English skills to just translate between them, and that's how the conversation was so great for them, man. Like they were, because I went to a hotel to support, the Pavlovich, Sergey Pavlovich, the UFC
Mhm.
fighter, heavyweight. He fought there. I came out to support him, and I seen a situation where people just speaking different languages, but just trying to communicate with each other. So I was like, it's not right. So I just went in and started helping them. So we just, it's great to be the person that can, help when nobody can help others.
It's great to see that, that you go out there out of your way to help people. You
Right.
know what I mean? Because you don't see a lot of that around the world. Everybody's just worried about themselves and they're just doing, they're going in their own little journey and their own little way, and they're not worried about somebody else. So, but let's talk about Team Thirsty, man. Like, what's Team Thirsty?
Team Thirsty. That Team Thirsty. That's a sign of Team Thirsty. Back then, when I was wrestling, and so when Mo wrestled, I think original Team Thirsty was Mo, Daniel, and Sean Bunch. It's when they wrestled. It was just a thirsty life, like thirsty for, getting out there and getting something in life. Either it's a business, either it's a, MMA, wrestling, or something. Just staying thirsty, which is like getting out there, winning, you know, just achieving something and making money. Because that's what it's all about. It's like Mo saying, I don't care about weight class. I worry about money. So if you pay me, because when I'm done training and wrestling and fighting, nobody's gonna care about me, right? So I just care about myself. And so other people a part of Team Thirsty were, I think it was King Mo, Daniel, Sean Bunch. There was Santana Slack, Shannon Slack. It was used to Bellator fighter. There was Rashad Evans. There was Jamil Kelly, silver medalist at the Olympics 2004. Jamil Kelly. He's not was doing MMA. He was just he's coaching right now at college. And myself, a part of Team Thursday Russia. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
like
That's yeah.
nobody back then, nobody knows. Even now, not many people know about the team. But that was a team of champions actually. And me because like you said, not many people helping these days, right? But that's why me, Daniel, and those guys were close because we're just the same type of people. If you're not gonna help, if you see the people struggling and you're not gonna help them, you're other people, right? So you're just other type of people. You're not gonna be a part of us. But that's why we got so together because we got the same mindset.
Definitely. Well, that is a crazy lineup, all-star lineup, championship lineup. King Mo, he retired not too long ago, but he's
Right.
done so much in the sport. I think a lot of people underestimate his achievements, don't you think, in MMA?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like he was Strikeforce champ beating Gegard Mousasi on his
Hmm.
sixth fight. He was just like a young, fresh in MMA, already beating this guy. But then he had the surgery, ACL surgery, and through the surgery, doctors got into him staph infection because he was just like almost dying back then, losing weight and too many surgeries. So after that, he couldn't fight like for a year and a half, I think. And he told me, "Hey, Jay, I couldn't fight like my best for 2 years." He won a Grand Prix Bellator, being not in his best shape. And I think the staph infection took a lot of energy and life from him. Tell you the truth, because like you just mentioned, man, I think he was one of like prospects in the world of MMA. And if not the injury, he would be the like UFC champ, I think, because that's how he was. His wrestling level is the highest level for MMA, man. He's striking. He loves boxing, and he's it's into him. You see, not many fighters these days, even wrestlers, can train boxing. You agree with that?
There's not many out there that are very good at boxing. Yes.
Right. They could be good wrestlers, but when they box, it's something like not like natural to them, right?
Mhm.
But Daniel and Mo, they're both good boxers, and they Mo used to train with Mayweather, Jeff Mayweather, in Vegas. He loved it. He got his level to very high, but his injuries, too many injuries. He's like, I have more than 40 surgeries through his career, man. I think, but yeah, he's a great people because, like even Ariel Hawani, he mentioned once the Mo is one of my best interviewer to talk to people.
Yeah.
That's how great people Mo is. But yeah, he could be even greater and achieve more wins in his career.
Yeah, he's very entertaining, and yeah, he's a guy that fought three different weight classes and was successful in three different weight classes. He went to the Ryzen Grand Prix, heavyweight,
Yep.
open weight, won that thing, and like you said, he
Right.
had a lot of injuries, but he still was very successful. And nowadays, new fans, they don't remember that. And Mo, I
Man,
think he's gonna be a great coach now. I think a lot of people will
bro,
probably remember him for coaching.
people even in Russia, when I tell people about Mo here, it's like, who that is? Who cares about Mo? But man, people that know, like like he always saying, fans don't care about sport. Even these days, look, there's a coronavirus around the world, but the fans still hating on Habib because he's like kinda turning down the fight with Ferguson, right? But
Mhm.
man, this is people sick and dying like every day, and the fans still want to show because they don't care about fighters, man. And same with Mo. If you ever wrestled or fought, you know about injuries. You know about like all the hard work and all these little things that come into the game, and people just fans not always be respectful to fighters, man.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Now, let's go move on to the MMA scene in Russia, and what is the impact of the coronavirus for the sport out there?
Everything canceled. There should be ACA tournament. There was Vader's brother should have fought with Maga Ismailov with main fight that got canceled. There's the RCC show where Alexander Shlemenko should have fought in main card got canceled, and that's where I do a little bit side of management for fighters now, and there was my boy Trevin Jones should have fought in the RCC with their fighter, but the show got canceled. So and there was a fight night show. So all the pretty much top shows got canceled and moved to a later date because of this coronavirus. And so the fighters right now they just pretty much have no jobs, but they just all they have is just to train and wait till the situations get better and when they have an opportunity to fight again.
On the management side of things, who are some of the fighters? You mentioned Trevin Jones. I know him. I've interviewed him before. Who else do you
Oh,
got on the
really?
in the lineup? Yeah.
So I do part of with upgrade management. Upgrade management with Julian Gregorio. He managed people like Brian Ortega, Dominic Reyes. Light heavyweight UFC contender. So he's doing a part of management with them, and so I got in with him, take care of the Russian market. So we just get into the business right now. Trevin Jones, because I met Trevin when I went to ACA tournament once in Russia. So we met, got at the same line, understand each other, and we got him in, taking care, helping him. So there's other people like in Russia. There's like not many known yet people that are here in Russia, but we're trying to get them grow. And there's many people in the U.S., but they're not like superstars yet. But there's a list of people that we're helping, and you'll hear about it soon, man.
Yeah, you'd think Russia and Dagestan and Kazakhstan and all those places around that area, in Europe, there's so much talent. Sports is so deep in the culture to where it's like there's so many guys probably out there that we don't even never even heard about, but they probably have ridiculous records, ridiculously talented, and your job is to find those guys and bring them to the
Right.
UFC, PFL. What promotions interest you the most? PFL seems like they like to bring the Russians in, and $1 million. Who doesn't want that?
Great. So, how do we pick them? It's not about just to pick fighters because, like I said, I wrestled myself. I know the game. And my coach in the U.S., Travis Paulson, he told me once, "Hey, G, if you want to be the champ, don't tell me, but show me." What show me means how do you sleep? How do you eat? How do you train? Do you watch film? Do you watch like any like additional into your game things? Like what do you do? Because the most of fighters just saying I want to be the champ, I want to fight. But when you offer them fights, because there's a like organization like GFC, like Guerrilla Fighting Championship, they were offering me asking me for fighters and I offered them fights, couple fighters, and then fighters like they were like, hey, one of the fighters like 3 weeks. I was like, nah, it is not enough. I was like, what do you mean it's not enough? You're not signed nowhere. You don't have any contract in your hands. How do you pick fights, man? You gotta, if you train, so those fighters stay in the gym full time. I was like, you train full time, and I offer you a fight now. What do else do you want? Man, this is people like they're saying, I want to be the champ, I want to fight. But when you offer them fights, they just start like watching the sides and just finding something excuses, And through friends, man, there's people contacting me like, hey, do you have an opportunity to sign him somewhere? I was like, yeah, we have connections to Bellator, PFL, UFC because Julian from the U.S. side, he knows those people. But it's mostly from knowing each other first because if you ask me, hey, you like 10-0, for example, or 6-0, hey, can you sign me somewhere? I was like, hey, let's talk first. Let's get buddies, because I don't know who you are. There's a people like fighters that might be good fighter, but from as a person, he might be just tricky. You know what I mean? And I don't want to I want to help people. I don't want to when people trick you. You
Mm.
know, because in this game, there's sometimes Trevin who couldn't fight a fight for him like for 5 or 6 months, man. Because Julian was trying to set up fights for him, and something was went wrong. So he was patient to wait, and now we finally almost get a fight for him. We should have signed a contract with RCC, but this coronavirus thing came. So fighters should understand the game. He should understand that if you offer your name to Danny White, for example, or the matchmakers, it's not going to be happening like this. It takes time. So the fighter should be smart enough to understand nothing happened overnight. And even if you offer him a deal, it takes time. So it's not like, oh, I got you on my agency, and then the fighter call me every day, where's the fight? That's not a smart move, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it takes time. And like in Russia, there's like a ACA, RCC, GFC, M1, four organizations. But like you just mentioned, how many fighters we have? A
Thousands and
ton.
thousands.
Yeah, yeah. Just look in Dagestan.
Mm.
There's like I don't know, man, how many fighters are ready to fight. And with the situation, it's not always working that fast because only four organizations in Russia, too many fighters, and only one show, like a 10 fights, so it's like 20 people, right? But too many fighters, so it's a problem. But fighters have to be patient enough. because today is not only skills that matters, but how patient you are, how you talk to managers, how you talk to coaches. If you're just wild person, you never get fights. Because when you get to high level, if you're wild and not smart person, it will show up out of you. So you got to be smart both in training and educational enough. Is too many things come into it.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. It's you gotta live the lifestyle. You can't just be a fighter,
Right.
50% of the time. You gotta be training and be ready because you're an up and comer. Nobody knows
Right.
you, so you gotta take
Right.
those fights and get the wins and rack them up, and that's when you get some power and some momentum, and that's when
Right.
your manager or your management team can get you into the big shows, right? But without that, you have nothing. You know what I mean? You have nothing. It's just the
I
truth.
think the other thing that have might be a little problem today, coaches got to be in contact with managers or something like that because for me it's easier because I trained MMA myself. I know the game, but coaches train fighters weirdly sometimes, and then they come to managers telling them, "Hey, give him fight." I look at him, I was like, "Man, what about his wrestling?
Mhm.
What about his grappling? What about his strength? He's not strong enough. Gotta work his strength first. Just gotta be that kind of mix to see where the fighter at right now, at kind of level, and what kind of fighter I might find for him to fight. Because if I find a strong fighter for him, he just get beat and his confidence will just go down, and he don't want to fight no more. And I think that's the problem. Some fighters just they want to fight, but they don't want to train. And like example in wrestling, if you just a wrestler, you need to train wrestling only. In MMA, you need to train everything: grappling, wrestling, kickboxing, boxing, like you know. But fighters, they has to be wild open to get information, uh, mix it, see what the good for them, throw everything away that don't need it, and just only stay with what you need for you. Because every fighter is a unique fighter. Like everything that worked for you might not work for me.
So, moving forward, are you getting deeper and deeper into the management side of things? Is that what your goal is?
Yeah, 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 we're doing that. So we're also doing sponsorship stuff. Not every management these days doing sponsorships, but we do and working towards that direction with the closing company and just supplements, just a bunch of other stuff, whatever could help. And that's important because some fighters that they have no fights, they need some money or at least gear or some supplements to live by these days whenever they don't make money, right? And so we're moving towards that side as well. But there's, like I said, fighters like you mentioned, you got to grow your record first, right? To people know who you are. But there's fighters that just starting and asking for sponsorship. We just like, hey, we can give you gear or give you like a supplements that people know who you are a little bit. They're like, nah, give me money. I was like, man, what do you need the money? How are they gonna pay you? Nobody knows who you are. People know who you are first. Who's behind you? What kind of people around you? Like, how many fights and wins do you have? Just grow yourself. It takes time, like you mentioned. I agree with you, man.
Man, that you gotta sometimes you gotta guide them. That's why managers are there. You gotta guide these young up and coming fighters and show them the
Exactly.
way, and hopefully they realize it before it's too late. Because you've seen a lot of guys probably in the past where they were
Right.
guided the wrong way, and they could have been a UFC champion probably, but now they're just sitting in some gym training just like a regular mid-level fighter. So yeah, it's just it's a tough game. Like you said, there's thousands of
Yeah.
fighters just in Dagestan alone,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
like you said,
crazy
man.
competition.
I agree with the. There's the fighters I know personally. They fought with that management stuff for too many fights, and they were winning, but their record is too big right now. So they're just like fight some low known people. People don't know who they are, and whenever they want to sign somewhere, nobody cares who they fought like because nobody knows those people. That's why it's important to get you in a low level in a startup process and get you good fights, good organizations. You might have 4, 5 and 0 and get to somewhere like my boy Duran Win. UFC middleweight. You know, Duran Win, right? The name
Yeah.
trained with Daniel. We used to train with him in Iowa. We were teammates. We're close friends now. And he got to UFC being 5-0. There's a people that like 15-0 not in UFC because the wrong management, wrong people around them. But that's a part of the game. Not you're not picking your parents, and you're not always picking the management and environment around you in the early years, right?
All right, G. Man, appreciate the time, man. It's good chopping it up with you. I'm gonna get
For
you
sure.
back on when the coronavirus is over, and we could talk about your guys that you're bringing up, and maybe they got some fights coming. Who knows what's gonna
Right.
happen? Yeah, man. Thank you so much for the time.
Yep. I'm at Team Thirsty, man, representing. Shout out King Moan, Daniel Cormier, Sean Bunch, and all the Team Thirsty and everything. Hope everyone stay healthy and we get through this coronavirus, and get to next level after everything gets well.